Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Thank you for joining us today from wherever you are in the world. If you're joining us for the first time, this is our third in a series of live streams that we are doing in March in celebration of International Women's Day and Women's History Month. My name is Leah McMillan. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Trend Micro, and I'll be your host for today's discussion. As a reminder, we are live streaming on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. So whatever platform you're using, please remember you can enter in your comments, your questions, or just say hi at any time, and we'll do our best to get to those questions on the live stream today. If you missed last week's or the weeks before, you can search up the hashtag that you see at the top of the screen there, Trend Talks IWD, and you can check out those sessions as well. As part of our celebrations this month, we're interviewing some amazing women from around the world at Trend Micro, women from functions like R&D, sales, marketing, support, and HR. And while I'm joining you, as you can see, from Ottawa, Canada, I'll be chatting with women today from Australia. I'm enjoying getting to know each of these accomplished women. I'm finding inspiration in each of their unique stories, their journeys, how they overcame challenges, what inspired them, how they achieved great things. And, they are women in tech. And I hope that you all find inspiration in their stories as well. I'm really excited to be here. To be honest, when I thought about starting out in tech 30 years ago, I couldn't have imagined becoming an exec at a multi-billion-dollar cybersecurity company. One, by the way, that is headed by a woman, Eva Chen. She is the CEO of Trend Micro. So it's very exciting for me to be here and just kind of reflect upon my own journey. It wasn't always easy. I faced biases and challenges. I overcame those. And at the same time, I had to balance my life. Most importantly, I raised two amazing young men who are now in university and starting out on their own tech journeys. But I'm proud of all the things I've accomplished from a career perspective as well. I am so glad that you are joining me to help celebrate really what is the imagination of a gender equal world. A world that's diverse, equitable, one where difference is valued and celebrated. And I know that, the world is in a bit of a crazy place these days. It's really hard for us to celebrate without also thinking of the women in Ukraine these days who are having to, do everything they can to protect their children, their families, their livelihoods. And so my heart goes out to them, and I'm hopeful that peace will soon be restored and that their lives can begin to heal. But today, let's turn to our panelists and really find some inspiration in what these amazing women have accomplished in their careers. So I'd like to welcome some women from Australia to our live stream today. I'd like to welcome Erin.
Hi.
Deepika.
Hey.
And Aline. Welcome to the broadcast. And Aline, I see you're on mute. Perfect. Okay, well, just to get things started, why don't we hear a little bit about what it is you do for a living and a little bit of something interesting about yourselves. Erin, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, thanks, Leah. So I'm a product manager. So for people who don't know what product management is, it's really concerned with the strategy of the product. What are we building? How are we pleasing customers? How are we fitting into the market against competitors and things like that? So it's really working with lots of different information sources to work out what the strategy should be, and then turn that into an approach within the product, work with the development teams to get the things built, and then enable the sales force and marketing to go out and talk about these things. So really exciting job. I love it. So I work within the Cloud One R&D team here in Sydney, and I've been with the company for about 3 years. Aside from that, I'm a Kiwi, so I'm a New Zealand person living in Sydney. I've been here about 9 years. And I'm a sister. I'm one of 3 girls in my family, and I'm an auntie to 4 beautiful little nieces, aged from 1 to 5.
Wow. I know, I'm very familiar. I actually did a big stint in product management myself, about 15 years. I really appreciate that job. It is tough. You're at the center of the storm. And I love that you also share other parts of your life there. It's wonderful. We're going to come back and talk about that more. Aline, how about you?
Hi, I'm Aline. I'm based in Sydney. I'm a developer. I joined Trend Micro 1 year ago. What I do at work, I make our product live from idea to how it would be implemented in real life. Besides work, I'm an IT mentor and I help women across the globe to step into IT because I know how challenging it might be. One day I stepped into IT and then realized that I want to support each woman who wants to shift their career that way. Besides that, I'm wife, I'm sister, I'm auntie. Yeah, so I have a big family and yeah, a lot of women here who I want to support as well. Yeah.
That's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And Deepika, how about you?
Thanks, Leah. Hello, everyone. I'm Deepika. I'm a customer success manager based in Sydney. I'm originally from India. I've lived a few years in Singapore and 2 years in Australia now. And I joined Trend 2.5 years ago. And my role, as it says, it's like making your customers successful. So it's like a role which, if little bit to explain, that you make a bridge between the customers and the product team, and also working as a sales support, making sure that whatever you do is coming as a 100% outcome for your customers. I am a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter. So I have all the roles to play in my life. And yeah, my daughter, she's 3 years and 9 months. So yeah, having a wonderful journey with her. And apart from work, what I love to do is I want to keep myself fit, because with the lockdown, with the COVID, the one thing that I picked up is like I picked up the running. So I have reached like running 7 kilometers around, which is not that great, but for me, it's great. So yeah, that's all about me. It's keeping my life interesting and keep going.
That's wonderful. A lot of different aspects there. Now it's interesting. You're all in fairly technical roles, which I love to see. And Aline, I love that you're inspiring people to get into tech as well. What about for each of you? How did you get into tech? What was it that inspired you to get there in the first place? Maybe Deepika, to start with you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, in my family, like I have, like we are four sisters. I'm the third one, and like to be honest, in my family, I have like there was no one who has actually entered into the IT completely, and there was nothing like that. Like I got influenced by something, but yeah, but my parents, they have actually influenced me, all of us, basically all my sisters, to get like best education as much as possible. And then at that time, like there were like two careers that we were thinking usually in India. I mean, either you can go to medicine or you can go to engineering. And I had an interest in engineering. So yeah, I mean, my father, even though he made me to choose both like biology as well as the maths as both the majors, because he's a doctor. He still wanted me to get into medicine. He tried all his hard work to, maybe I'll change my mind after 2 years of studying biology as a major too. But I didn't change my mind, and I just keep like, okay, I'm interested in learning more of engineering. And then I joined like computer science engineering as my bachelor's. And yeah, that's how I entered into the tech world.
Excellent. And Erin, how about you?
Yeah, so my journey was a little bit more roundabout. Again, I didn't have anyone in my family who worked in technology. I didn't really have people around me who pushed me in that direction. So it took me a while to find it. I ended up studying fashion at university, which is a little bit different. I get lots of raised eyebrows with that. But it was a really practical approach. So it was about sequencing, about how to turn an idea into reality. What are the steps to make that happen? So a lot of it does translate to product management. You just have to think a little creatively to see the connection. So I then started my career actually in advertising. I didn't get a job in fashion, so I did advertising for a little while. Got involved in digital advertising, started to do websites and things like that, and then branched into software and really found like the product management role was an exciting role that allowed me to be creative as well as technical, and learn lots of things. You know, technology, you're always learning. So yeah, I love it now. I've been in the industry for about 6 or 7 years. Yeah.
And Aline, it sounds like you started in tech right out of school. Is that right?
So when I was at school, I really enjoyed our IT classes. However, I still thought that probably it's not for girl. I had this a strong opinion that it is something for boys only. And girls should select something probably more easy, probably more people-oriented. My father is engineer, and he always admires me with his tech brain. However, I thought that probably I should select something else. And when I was at uni, I had a managerial specialty here. However, when I moved to Australia approximately 4 years ago, I decided to step into something very new just to try. What if I can do this? And then I started to learn IT. And wow, it was an amazing way. And I learned a lot, and I got a lot of support from other women and men. And I thought, that's something that I want to try, and something that I want to develop my career. So it wasn't that strict. I call it career detour, but yeah, it was fun.
Wow, it is interesting, right? Each of you talked about getting into your journey in a different way, and once you get into tech, it's very hard to get out because it is so dynamic, so exciting. It's always moving, right? And it sort of draws people like us in there and keeps us once you get in. Talk to me a little bit about who inspired you on your journey. Can you think back to someone early in your career you said, well, that person is, that's the kind of person I want to be like, or their words have inspired me?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, we've all talked about family and the influence of family, and there's obviously some inspiration there. But I think there's also, throughout my career, I've had different people surrounding me, leading me, managing me, as well as teammates. And the people, I guess it's been inspiring to see the people who I could look up to, who looked like me, who maybe weren't very loud, weren't very extroverted, weren't very pushy. I feel like in the last few years, the empathetic leader, the quieter leader has really gained some attention. And for me, that was really inspiring, because it felt like I can see them, maybe I can do it as well. So it was that example.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Topeka?
Yeah. I think I can definitely relate to what Erin said, that you don't have to be always have that like aggressive qualities to like come forward in your career, or being like put yourself on the table and you show up basically. And I would say that I've seen, like we all know that education, the first place that starts at home. And I've seen my mom, like she is not working outside home, but she's working throughout the day. And I've seen like the passion and the motivation that she had to get her girls do the best in their life. Like that has motivated all of us, like including me and my sisters I'm talking about. Like she has always mentioned that point forward to us, that you have to always look forward to something where you can become independent financially as well as emotionally. You don't have to depend on anyone in your life to get or to receive anything, basically. And that has always motivated me, because I remember like when I chose the engineering college for myself, like my father he was happy obviously, but not like 100%, because he wanted to go wanted me to go into medicine. But my mom was like 100%. She was super excited that my girl, she is going to become an engineer. And the college that I got was like not in like a very good place. Like there was just one bus going to that place, and it's like it was really hard to transport and commute at that time, because it was like one of the college which was put in the remote areas, and I chose that one. And my mom was like every time I came home and I used to leave home, she used to cry. And but as soon as I reached, whenever I used to call her, she used to like used to motivate me, saying that like yeah. So I would say that like she's the motivational pillar for me always. And there have been a couple of things that have happened during my career and during my whole journey, but she has always inspired me. And when I saw the people, the women, when they're like obviously around the world, when you look at the women achieving so much, like they're becoming CEOs, they're becoming like CMOs, like you, they're becoming CTOs. That has always inspired me to take something like there's nothing impossible, and it has nothing to do with like women or men. It's all about what you want to achieve in your life.
Incredible. Wonderful. Aline?
So besides family, I'm really lucky person because I met a lot of managers, a lot of female leaders who inspired me, and I saw that okay, they have more experience, but I still can get it. So they are like me. Well, they probably have more experience. They probably have deeper knowledge than me, but I'm on my very beginning of this way, and I still can do this. And this understanding that I can be a bit closer each day to them was supporting me a lot. Also, not only people who I admire, but also people who don't believe, they give me a lot of power because there were some people who say, why should you do this? It's not a way for you. You cannot do this. And they doubted me. It helped me a lot on the very beginning because I said, who can suffer if I can't do this? Who can say that, you cannot do this, you cannot do that? Only you can choose the way you want to act. Only your abilities, only your time that you put on achieving something would matter. No one's word. That's why I decided to try, and thank all these people who believe in me and who don't believe, because you all are right, because I can do something, I can't do something, but I try to do my best each day. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you've touched on it a couple times, Aline, that sometimes people, just because you're a woman, they assume that you're not able to go there. And I think, this you've each expressed something similar to this. Do you think that women bring unique leadership qualities to the table?
I'm pretty sure because probably you can see how IT changes each year because there is a higher rate of women each year in IT in all the STEM area. And I think that female approach can change a bit more personal attitude on leadership. When you're more empathic, it's just because of our nature. And definitely, even in my team, I see that sometimes female approach is very different because we can think from a different perspective, from different way, and probably experienced engineer won't do that way. However, I think, what if I can do that way? What if I try? And then you can say that, it might work. It might work. And I see that in Australian community at Trend Micro, women and men, in fact, it doesn't important because people see, are you professional or no? What can you bring as a team? What can you deliver in a team input? What can you do for a whole company? And that's important, and that's great. And I see that, in ideal world, I believe that women can do a lot because we have different type of thinking. We are creative. We have open heart for people feeling, and we can understand and share our knowledge and support. And that's why I think that that matters.
Definitely. I think, working in IT, working within an R&D team, we're not solving simple problems. Some of these problems are extremely complex and they involve lots of discussion and lots of creative thinking. And the more input that you have with diverse viewpoints, the better that solution is, the better that discussion is. And then you come to a better solution at the end of it. And so women are certainly one type of diversity, but all types of diversity help with that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that is key, right? It's if you can bring your authentic self, and everyone is bringing their authentic selves, you're going to get a much better balanced, discussion and diversity. So that's amazing. What about, though? I mean, the theme of this year's International Women's Day, as you know, is break the bias. And I can certainly think back to my own examples of bias that I experienced over the years. And, believe me, when I started 30 years ago, it wasn't, in some ways, maybe it was, we were used to some of these things. It seems so much better now. But what kind of biases, or what's an example or a story that you could share, that you'd be willing to share with people on the live stream, of bias that you kind of went, hey, wait a minute, that's not right?
I think I mean, there's internal biases as well that you have to overcome.
Mhm.
We've all kind of said, or sorry, maybe not Devika so much, but Alina and I both didn't think that the IT industry was for us initially. It took us a while to realize that this was somewhere we could have a career in. So there's internal biases to overcome first, but then there's obviously external ones as well. You know, I think back to my early career, and I wasn't in IT at this stage, so biases are everywhere. But I know that there were 2 instances where I was overlooked for a promotion because of my nature, because I was quiet. I was very reserved at that point. I wasn't confident speaking up, pushing back, dealing with customers who were angry, that kind of thing. So for that reason, I know that there were 2 instances where I was overlooked. I know that because I got that feedback. And it was hard. It was hard to deal with that. And it motivated me to really come out of my shell, to work on my confidence, to make sure that never happened again. I was really motivated to make sure it never happened. I didn't want to be held back because of a personality trait that is often associated with being a woman. Yeah.
It is part of the journey. It's part of our learning, right? Is how to deal with those situations as well. And, you know, we get better over time as well in dealing with it. Devika, do you have an example as well?
Yeah, I mean, I still want to go back to the previous discussion where like we were discussing that what actually like the qualities that women brings to the leadership, like because and it is related to this like what Erin has said, that the versatility that women has, like, and when that has come up together in their career, that has come up like an amazing qualities within ourselves. And the best part of like what I've seen, like women around me, like Erin, Aline, and other women, like I have worked in previous years of my career, I've seen like we all are like striving, or we all are driven towards like our goals so much, because we know that we have like a I would say like there are 2 words that we have to look at. I mean, I'm just talking about maybe my experience, that I felt really motivated after I have given a birth to my daughter. I don't know, there was some motivation inside me that I started feeling, because you can like think yourself like you have to manage too many things at the same time, and the versatility has actually improved that like too much. And the qualities that has come up in our all the skills, whatever we do, could be a product management, could be a developer, or could be a customer success or a support or whatever, but that is actually help us to like grow further in our life. And obviously, like I would say the internal bias are the ones that we never actually realize that what we are restricting ourselves to not to do. But once we break them and once we come out, we actually like can see like we have actually come from 80% of the issues are already solved. For me, like the thing is that the environment that I have grew up, I have not seen any bias around me. So basically, I was not prepared for like outside world, I would say. We were just like grew up like 4 sisters together, happy family. Parents never taught us anything, because there was like no gender bias. Like a boy can do, you can't do. Even if you have to learn driving like a 2-wheeler, 4-wheeler, or maybe cycling, like you can go, you can play, you can do whatever you want to. You can even go to your friends. So there was no bias that actually I grew up, and that has not helped me a lot later when I actually entered into the real world. But yeah, I mean, I have learned from my experiences, because I've worked in different multinational companies and they had their different cultures, and that has helped me to grow up and understand that not every place is same and not every people is same. But what you can always, like, you can't change people around you, but what you have to learn from those circumstances is that come up stronger from them, so that when next time something that happens to you, you can foresee those situations and can already have escape plan from that. So don't get into the trap again, and learn from what has happened to you in your past experience, and come out stronger. And I think that has helped to come into the IT, or I would say like it's not about just IT, it's about the world, like how women have to survive or how they have to live each day. because the thought that I can never be in IT has never come in my mind, because I was thinking about during my schooling, I'm going to the engineering college. So I never thought that after I end up into IT, I would have to deal with some of the things like that. But yeah, I think that's all over the world. And when I look at like different ways that people are handling those situations has helped me. And I would say we can't break the bias which are external, but definitely we all have to focus on the bias. If we are feeling something which is internal, definitely look forward to breaking them, because that's what we can control.
That's a very good point. And actually on that point, and you started to go there with I think some excellent advice for, there might be young women out there who are considering a career in tech or just starting out and have some of those internal biases. Or maybe there's parents out there who have a daughter that, they'd like to get into tech. What kind of other advice might you pass on to people starting out in their career who might be facing some of these internal or external biases?
Yeah, I would say that I would say that be authentic, because I think if you're being authentic and if you're being honest and if you're best at what you're doing, there's no one who can actually like push you back. Because what I've learned is that if the thing, whatever you are doing today, if you're good at that, then no one has the right to say you anything. And even if they're saying, you have a right to go back to them with like more than 100% power.
That's good.
And never, I would say that because IT is very dynamic, is very versatile, and there could be some experiences that the young girls are going to get, which may like push them back, or they may feel that no, we can't go further in this, we have to leave this or something like that. But that thought will always keep on coming in the mind. Let that thought not affect them, affect those young minds, and just focus on your goals and look forward, because it's a dynamic place. If you're not doing good at one aspect, don't worry, try something else. Look at other women, take advice of other women around you who are doing different kind of roles, because maybe you started as a developer, but after a few years you realize that you don't feel that passion. Then it's all right. Don't think that you have to leave the IT completely. You can look at other people, talk to them. So I would say, like, talk to people. Don't just be like at your place sitting that if I don't do this good, I have to quit. Quitting is never an option. Just
I like
consider talking to people and take something, whatever seems interesting. Maybe sales can you if you can find something sales like interesting, and
Yeah.
you can end up after doing that, because I have done a career shift in my journey also. So yeah, I would suggest that there is never a full stop on this career. It's always every day you learn new things, but just keep yourself that passion inside you, that I can do something which I can find my passion lies behind it.
I like that. And it all comes back to, as you said, being authentic, right? If you're truly yourself and you keep sort of checking, am I enjoying this? Is this the right place for me? You'll find your way. How about
Yeah.
you, Aline? Do you have some advice for some young people starting out?
Yes, sure, especially for people who just start their career or shift to another area, because they have a lot of feedback, and some of them might be very good and positive that would help people to achieve results in a better way or be more effective. However, sometimes it might be not what you expect to get. An example, when I was like 5 year specialist, and I suppose I have some experience and can go a bit further in my career. And I just chatted with my manager. Hey, look at my performance review. Look at what I did before at my project, at everything I did. What do you think? What I can do better? And where I can be more productive in that way? Probably I can deserve some promotion, something like that. He said, look, you're a woman, you're a female specialist, so you should think mostly about how to get a husband
Ah,
instead of how to get a career promotion. I was shocked, to be honest. And my friend, she is mother of three, and she has husband. And when she had the same conversation with him, he said, "Look, you have a husband, so he should think about this." So on each of questions about getting some promotion in your salary or in your career step, he said the same answer. And it was really frustrating because I cannot do something with it. It's my nature. What I can do with my gender? Probably not that much. And, I cannot consider that as a sort of positive feedback because you cannot change it, really. And in 2 months, we both were on the market, and we found we found places where we were happy. So yeah, look at each feedback very with a big interest, and try to find some positive outcome from each of feedback, but don't be sure it's 100% right. Just get some doubts, but definitely you should think, okay, I'm a woman, what I can do in a female way, because it was a big lesson for me, because you are female specialist. Okay, then what I can do as a female specialist? What is my strength? Because definitely they say that it's a weakness on the market. However, probably I can do things a different way and have a success on that way. Yeah. So as for new beginners, I would say listen to other people and think about their feedback, and go through it and think what can become your point of strength in that way. Yeah.
Wow, that is an incredible story, Aline. It boggles my mind. I have heard stories like this over the years, and it never ceases to amaze me. I think there should be a whole collection of stories like that to really kind of shake us up and help us all think differently. How about you, Erin? Some advice for some young people starting out?
Yeah, so I guess knowing that I shifted into IT partway through my career, I would encourage anyone to think about getting into IT at any point in their career. It's never too late. So what I did when I was kind of shifting into this career was I reflected on the things that I enjoyed about my previous roles. So there was lots of kind of internal introspection. What makes me happy? What do I like doing? What do I enjoy? What gives me that sense of satisfaction? And sometimes it takes a couple of jobs. You think you've got it right, and then you do that job, and you're like, oh, it's kind of 90% there, but it's not quite. Maybe I'll just pivot a little bit. So sometimes it's not a matter of just flicking a switch and suddenly jumping into a new role. You've got to kind of take it a couple of steps at a time and figure out if you've made the right jump, and pivot if you need to. But just go on that journey and follow it through and see where it takes you, because where you'll end up is hopefully somewhere you're really happy. And then I guess some of the other things, like for me personally, was don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to use your voice. Probably the biggest growth that I've had in my career is when I started using my voice. I went through a period, a couple of jobs actually, where I was basically responsible for gathering requirements. It was literally my job to ask the questions on behalf of not just myself, but my whole team. And so that was an incredible learning opportunity as well. It's like, I'm allowed to ask questions. I'm not only allowed to ask questions, I have to ask questions. It's my responsibility to ask questions, and all the detail, and please explain this bit and walk me through this bit, and what is the expectation here? And that was a huge learning curve as well, in terms of technical skills as well. I'm not a technical person. I don't have a technical background, but I can now describe myself as a technical person because I've been through that journey of asking so many questions and learning and listening to the responses.
Let's pivot a little bit, because I know that people always have this question on their mind, which is, what is work-life balance? What is that for you? What does that mean for you? I'm going to kick things off, actually. Tell me what you think about this. This is my personal opinion. I actually don't like the term at all, work-life balance, because then it sort of implies that work is not part of your life, right? I think some of my best friends, some of my best experiences in the world have been at work. It's part of my life, but I definitely believe in balance. So what does balance look like for you, and how do you find it?
Yeah.
Well, probably When you are in IT, it's hard to say that you have balance because it's part of your life. It's not something that I start to do at 9 and finish doing at 6 o'clock, because your brain might still be in this flow. You still think about on during the dinner, or when you have a meeting with your friends. You still might think on, like, partly on the back of your brain. You might still think about the task you have, or how you want to do things in your everyday work. So for me, work-life balance is when you have your work and when you have some other areas that not quite different from what you're doing every day, but it's like a system parts, different parts of a one system that help you to be more effective, more the better specialist to be, to support every day of your life. Because, well, for example, sports, I believe that not many people like sports, but it helps you to switch your attention. It helps you to keep your body strong and to be more healthy, finally to live a better life. And I believe that it's a sort of balance for me when you have all the necessary keys, all the necessary things in your bucket to live a better life. And that's why I think that work for me is something like that. I cannot say that, okay, now I have work and other life is after it. No, it's part of my life and I'm happy I have it because it's an area where I'm the main artist. Oh, sorry. When I can do things on my own way and where I can show myself as a developer. As in other areas, I show myself as a sister or daughter or friend or in any hobby I have. So yeah, something like that.
Now, Deepika, you have a young child. As a mom, do you get extra pressure, do you feel, to try to keep it all together?
So, yeah, I wanted to share that this current role and this job that I'm doing this is the job that I got after I returned back from maternity. So this is my first job after after I had my daughter, and we also moved from Singapore to Australia. So that was like a country switch, as well as the getting into a job after having the daughter. And before, like, I was very nervous to thinking earlier that whether I would be able to balance it out, because I had to first settle down my daughter in the daycare, and then have to start working again, because I took a break for like 1 year, 18 months around. And with the last job that I did during my pregnancy, I couldn't continue more than 5 months at that time. And because of some complications in my health during my pregnancy. I had to leave that at fifth month of my pregnancy, because at that time also it was a big decision to take, because I was loving that role, loving that job in Singapore so much. It was also with one of the startup there. And I after I joined, I got to know I'm pregnant, and there's I thought that I would be able to balance the whole thing there, but I couldn't. And it's how you have to take and some decisions depending on what is coming and matters to you most at that time. So I had to leave it, but I was that's where actually my partner, actually, he has supported me very strongly on that side. He said that you will again get the same role. I know you like it, you got it in this one, but after a break, when you go back, you still have your experience. Because so when I said that I have a cultural, like, I had that shift in my career, means that I started as a tech, as an engineer. So I have started as a software engineer. I worked as a software engineer for initial couple of years. Then I worked as a business analyst, and I actually realized that I was not I was not liking those roles that much, and I wanted to do some shift where I could do more customer facing roles. So I gradually moved from business analyst to little support, and then to customer success. Customer success was a very new role in the market, I would say, at that time, and not many people were actually able to understand that what that role actually has to do when we already have a support. And that itself was a little struggle, but yeah, somehow I got into that role, but I had to leave that after 5 months of my work. Then I thought, maybe just with 5 months of experience in the real role, who is going to give me the job again after a break of like 1 year, 8 months? Or I was very worried. But yeah, at that time, whatever it was, it has to take. I was just focusing on my pregnancy, and my girl was born, and then yeah, we moved from Singapore to Australia. And after I settled down for like 6 months, I started looking for jobs here. And yeah, every time I used to go in an interview, I used to mention to them that I'm a young mom, and I have a daughter who is just like turned 1, and I have to like maybe I would be doing work from home for one day, because at that time it was not a COVID time. Like you have to literally have to talk on those terms of getting work from home and all those things, and maybe sometime I have to keep these hours flexible and all that. So I would say like it's a pressure that a woman feels inside. Maybe the people around them, they don't make them feel that pressure. Then that's what my earlier thing that was related to, that if you break your internal bias, and if you have like, obviously your family is supportive, and if you know that you can balance it out well, once it actually comes into the real time, you can do it. And I got a people around me who were very supportive in my company, and they understood. My manager, whom I had to work with this role, he was very understanding. He had 3 kids himself. He understood like it's not that it could sometimes be flexible hours, or you have to just focus on your child, so that's all right. But so I think it always matters that how you take up those things that's coming into your life. But never, I would say that never pre-assume the conditions. Never just say that, okay, I'm going to be a mom and I have to leave my career completely. And again, I would say that not every time you will have the same situation. So be ready for everything. You might feel sometimes pressurized. And that's where the work life balance is actually like a term that I don't like also, because I can never say that when I'm in office, I don't think about my daughter. I don't think about my family, because it's not that you can do. That's like work is also part of your life. It's not like you are living 2 separate lives, and you always have to keep that thing. And I think I was like really when I started doing this role after the maternity break, I was so excited about that. I was actually showing pictures of my daughter to my colleagues, and maybe I was thinking that I have realized that maybe after some time, maybe they would be feeling bored, like why is she only talking about her daughter?
Yeah, it's
But
hard. It's something that you're very proud of as a parent, and
yeah,
I personally think it helps the connection on a personal level. And there's boundaries, of course, you have to watch out for. But I do think the more authentic we are, and as we share our full selves, our full lives with people
yeah,
around us that we work with, they are part of our lives, and it enables that trust that you need in a work environment too. Erin,
yeah.
did you have anything you wanted to balance us out with here with
I
extra
think,
balance tips?
yeah, I think Alina and Deepika have covered it really well. I think I agree. I don't love the term because it implies that, life is the fun part and work's the boring part. But if you've picked the right career, work's not boring. It's not something painful that you have to do just to pay the bills. You want it to be something that inspires you, something that excites you and makes you happy. And so if you've got a career that does that, it should be balanced anyway. But yeah, I can really empathize with a lot of what Deepika has said. Having 2 sisters who have kids as well.
Yeah.
I don't have kids myself, but I can see the journey that they've been through and trying to adjust their lives to balance it. And there is pressure as a mum to take that primary care role. Even now, though, it's becoming more common for it to be equal. There's still that internal pressure, as you said,
Internal pressure,
to take
yeah.
that role. It's the social norm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so incredible. Well, I'm going to ask you one more question, and I'd love you to all think about one book or podcast that you could recommend to our listeners today that you find inspirational, that help you on your journeys, because you're all on incredible journeys and fairly technical roles as women in tech. Is there something that you listen to inspire you? I can tell you, I look at my bookshelf and I've got a lot of Brene Brown books and Angela Duckworth and Grit and just different inspirational things that help me in my life and in my work. Do you have a podcast or book that you can recommend?
Oh, that's tricky. There's general ones, and then there's also like role specific ones. So it's tricky to know where to start. I think in terms of general inspiration, I'm getting really into biographies, whether they're biographies or autobiographies, stories about lives of interesting women or interesting people that have had an impact on the world, and been authentic and lived their own way and done their thing their own way.
A non-fiction, inspirational story, right?
Yeah. Then they could be people that we know that are in this time, or maybe historical people as well. So I recently read the Michelle Obama one, which was amazing.
Becoming, right? That's
yeah, that was a really good one. But then there's also so many within product management that are really inspiring as well. Yeah,
wonderful. Topeka, Arlene?
Yeah, I second to what Erin has said, that it's really hard to decide, because there are some books that are like generic ones, but the others which are related to you have to upskill or you have to learn more about your role, current roles, like that. I would say like the book that has inspired me recently about, like, obviously I'm more into like something which is real stories inspire me more rather than looking at some fiction or something like that. So the book like Indra Nui has written about her whole life. So that has shared the story about herself, that like how from being an Indian, she studied outside, like she studied in the US, and then she got into like what's her journey towards like how she became CEO, and what all she has been into, how was her first interview, and what she did, and how was she, what all she has experienced being an Asian, and like all those things. It's really like interesting plus inspirational, because when you see the end result or when you see the goal that they have achieved, that motivates. Apart from that, because like there are some other books which are more talking about like how to build your habits. So I would say that the another book that I have not finished yet, but just like I read that what it has to come up with, that is like Atomic Habits, because I really like the concept that brings, because it's like if you just improve like 1% every day, yeah, you will be like 37% improved by the end of the year. So maybe if you would skip few days also in between, it won't harm.
Yeah, I love that concept as well. I think that's a wonderful.
Yeah.
It's still hard to get started, but I get it, right? Just do something small each day to build that habit. Aline, anything from you?
Yeah, sure. So I could recommend a few books, starting from Simon Sinek, Start with Why. Yeah, it's very famous, but it helps, because when you start to read this book, you think, oh, that's easy. But then you understand that, well, it's not easy to find the main motivator, the main reason why you want to do something, why you should do this. And to continue with this approach, I could recommend Barbara Sher, probably all of her books. She is a trainer who helps people to find their work of dream, life of dream, everything that you can think about, but you are not so brave to make it. So what she says that firstly, you should be brave to dream, to imagine the life you want to live, to imagine work you want to do every day, and then to be brave to achieve it, to make every day small steps, but then that lead you in the right direction. That's what Deepika says. So each way consists of very small steps, but if you're consistent, you still can get it. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I can see why the three of you were selected to join us on this live stream today, because you all have shown such interesting courage and, just insight, I think, into your situation, thoughtful approach to your journeys, just incredible. And I think some great tips for people who may be considering a career in tech, in terms of being authentic and not being afraid to change your course, to really listen and really learn from each experience that you're going through. I really appreciate your time today. It's been interesting. Again, the theme for this year's International Women's Day was Break the Bias. Everyone mentioned that bias isn't just an external thing, that we have our own internal biases, we have our own internal expectations, that we also have to do some introspection and check out where we're at there. But clearly, if you do that work, if you do that thinking, it's amazing. The sky's the limit. And you are wonderful examples of that. And it has been just such a joy to get to know you and hear about your journeys and your perspective on on life and how women in tech can be successful. So thank you for joining us today. Let's do the symbol of break the bias.
Break the bias.
Thank you so much. It has been such a wonderful time with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.